Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. It's May 2024. Broadcast 1046, and it is day 214 since October 7th. We have been coming together saying good morning, fighting for a world of love every single day since we began this community over 4 years ago. Let's say good morning to each other, which is one of the most beautiful things we get to do. Anya and Fabrice, Chana and Barry, Lydia and Linda, Boker Tov. Hi, Sharon. Hope that you are well. Debbie, sending love to Colorado. All right, Arlene, good morning to you, Hineni. Hi, Anya. Hi, Mordechai. I hope everyone is doing well. Big day coming up. Tell you about it in a minute. Let's take a breath, sing a blessing. Peter, Andrew, Marilyn, and my beautiful Ariel. Hi. Hi, April. All right, let's take a breath, sing a blessing for learning, learn some Torah, and make today a good day. So good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you. I hope that you're all well, that you're safe. Today, as Penny just reminded us, is broadcast 1046. It is day 214 since October 7th, and since it's May 7th, it is 7 months since October 7th, and the situation has not gotten less complicated. What I want to do is not focus only on that, but I am there. And part of what makes today a big day for me and for the staff here at UJA is that together we are going to be visiting the Nova exhibit in New York City, which has been set up to raise awareness and to bring our attention to the specific details and experiences of those who were slaughtered by terrorists at the October 7th massacre at the music festival. All they did was dance. All they did was sing. And I want to share that I have a student from back in my days at Berkeley who has been writing to me that he doesn't see the compassion in me that I taught him. And I share this with you because I know that he's wrong, but I want to reaffirm what compassion looks like, what love looks like. The demands of love are significant. When you are in relationship, loving, obligatory, and obligating relationship, this is what compassion looks like. when someone says, but don't you care about Palestinian civilians? That question itself is blasphemous. Of course, anyone of conscience does. A Jew does. Torah tells me I must. In fact, in this week's Torah portion, the command is clearest. This is Parshat Kedoshim, the center of the Torah. The Holiness Code, chapter 19 of the book of Leviticus. And in it is the most famous verse in any biblical text. It is literally the golden rule. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself. That is the command to compassion. That is the command to empathy, to take care of someone, to take care of our neighbors, to be present in the way that we will fight to remain, which means if only they would leave us alone, we would be so helpful. Just think about if the world had not exploded for us on October 7th, all the undistracted good we'd be doing. And if you can only imagine what my colleagues here at UJA and all of our volunteer leaders and donors are doing, taking care of the same concerns and commitments that we have made for our entire history as a people, taking care of food insecurity, being present to alleviate homelessness, working on racial justice, working to make sure that survivors of domestic violence receive the medical, legal, and financial care that they need. Taking care of the most vulnerable people in New York is a commitment that we make based on Jewish tradition, which is compassion in action. Here we are, doing the same good that we always mean to do. And if only anti-Semitism weren't on the rise, we'd get to do more of that good stuff. So what does Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha mean? Love your neighbor as yourself. Straight from this week's Parsha. You know, I have traditionally been really good at Ve'ahavta l'reacha, love your neighbor. My work to end American gun violence, our work in countless places to do enormous good. It has been so important to remain loving and present, to let our compassion guide us, as it always has, as it always should. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. That is so, so very important. But you know the part that requires a little bit more work, that October 7th actually triggered in a very significant way? See, Ve'ahavta l'reacha, love your neighbor, that's not the whole sentence. Kamocha, love your neighbor as you love yourself. The contrapositive, the exact opposite, is the way Hillel, the ancient sage, taught it, which is what is ever hateful to you, don't do to anyone else. But what does it mean to love your neighbor as yourself? If I don't love myself too, if I don't have compassion for my own people, how do I know how to take care of anyone else? The same dignity that we must continue to fight for all people, that has led our work against racial injustice in the United States, a terrible history that transformed from enslavement to Jim Crow, to new Jim Crow, to mass incarceration, and significant percentages of police brutality. If we haven't learned from our lessons, having been strangers in a strange land, then what are we? We have shown up to try to take care of people who are suffering from bigotry and prejudice of all kinds. That is compassion. So what does this mean, friends? What does it mean? It means that this is the moment of kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I have to remember how to love myself, how to take care of our children and our grandparents. Yesterday, I was blessed, 2 nights ago and yesterday, to hear from 2 survivors. They're extraordinary stories. They are quite old, and thank God for the vitality that they have to share their wisdom with us. Yesterday, this incredible human being who was being interviewed by her daughter, just holding hands, she was helping her grandmother tell her story, helping her stay grounded and centered in it. Ended by saying, "What advice do you have for us, Grandma?" And she looked at all of us, hundreds of us in the room, and she said, "Don't give up. Don't give up." There is compassion surging in our hearts, our broken hearts. We are remaining human, though we are fighting inhumanity. What does it mean to love your neighbor as you love yourself? It means the same way that I want to be treated with dignity, I will treat you with dignity. But it is important to understand the implication of this too. If I demand dignity for you, then I demand dignity for me too. If I demand dignity for your children, then you can be sure I demand dignity for mine. If I will fight injustice when it hits my neighbor, then you can be sure that I will fight injustice when it hits my home. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha is incredibly difficult. What does it mean to love? What does it mean to let passion out in defense of self and in defense of other? Ultimately, the goal of the verse is to be partners in creating a world where the circles of belonging expand until we remember that we belong to each other. And when someone speaks to Jews and acts at Jews as if they don't belong anywhere, you can be sure that compassion looks like fierce self-defense. So, I know, I'm speaking to my student as if he were listening, and I don't believe that he's really listening, and I don't believe that he totally sees me. But what I want to say to him is if he were listening, and he's not a young child anymore, but what I want to say to him is, sweet person, sweet soul, don't overcompensate for what you see as the absences of compassion by showing no compassion for your ancestors or descendants. Am Yisrael Chai, and the right to self-determination is not the reduction of compassion. It is the recognition that throughout Jewish history, no matter where we have found ourselves, until we had our home again, our physical welfare was dependent upon goodwill from neighbors who did not show it. And despite all that, we remained compassionate, loving people. Despite all of it. Anne Frank's diary is testimony to the belief that at heart all people are good. And so I just want to say, as if he's listening, to my student, open your heart. Listen. Learn. Remember that the only way we'll know how to love someone else is to recognize that self-love is the beginning of that. I'm created in the image of God too. So are you. So is every Palestinian. We have an obligation to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. But we can only do that if we're here. So let's think about that. Let's take a second and really think about love. In about an hour, I'm going to be at the Nova exhibit. Compassion takes many forms. This is how we do it. We show up with our hearts. We bear testimony, and we demand nothing less for ourselves than we demand for everyone else. Let's send our hearts east, friends. Here we go. Kolon balevav pnima nefesh Yehudi הומיה, ולפתי מזרח קדימה, עין לציון צופיה. עוד לא עבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, friends. Take care.